Hey, good Sunday evening. Sandy with Quilted Treasures and More here with you. And I hope you've had a great week. I have been working on getting ready for a craft show that's coming up this coming up weekend or next weekend, whichever way that goes, because we're technically in the weekend. So anyway, it's the 24th and 25th. Of April. So it's next Saturday and Sunday. Next Saturday and Sunday. So, well, I hope you have had a good week, and I have been working on a variety of things to put in the craft show. If you have a chance, it will be on Hit Road there at the Abba Temple, and I would love to see you if you're in the Mobile area. Now, some of you watching may not be in the Mobile area, and you may be thinking, well, where is that at? Yeah, you kind of have to be in Mobile in order to find that. So, if you're around the area and you stop by and want to check out the craft show, make sure you find me. I'll be there with a friend of mine who also does door hangers, and we will have a booth there. We would love to see you and say hi. All right, well, we are going to take a look at what is on the crafting table for this week. And we are looking at what is going to be hydrangeas in a mason jar. I had a chance to do this earlier in the week, and I had a lot of fun with it. And so I said, well, I was going to show off what I had done, but then I decided I would wait and do one here on the live. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. Now, I do have a new camera set up, just so you know, and so the audio is coming through the new camera as well as this video. So if you notice any hang-ups or glitches, if you'll just comment in the comments, I would greatly appreciate it, because I don't always catch them while things are going on, especially once I start painting. All right, so we're going to get started with the hydrangeas, and I'll be throwing in little tidbits of information while we are painting tonight. I'm going to start with putting one more coat of white on the hydrangea, what will be the actual blossoms, the clusters, here in just a little while. So I'm going to put one more coat of white on that. Just going to base coat it. Get my brush a little wet, not a whole lot, just a little bit. And then I am just going to do a base coat here. Just so I'll have them nice and white. I posted something earlier in the, or later in the week, I guess I should say, about all the rain. Oh my goodness, y'all. I was beginning to feel waterlogged. I'm like, I can't get out and seal coat door hangers, and I can't get out and cut door hangers. It was just crazy. My schedule really, with door hangers, as far as getting them completed or even getting them started, really does revolve around what our weather is like at this time. Now, I've made mention over the past, I guess it's been the past few weeks, talking about different things that we were discussing and working on throughout the month of March, and we are continuing to work and get things set up here in April. So coming up, the door hangers will be laser cut and laser etched. So that means I won't have to wait on the weather to get my templates cut out, my blanks cut out. But I will still have to wait on the weather to seal coat things. And we're still working on the final details with the laser and getting that done. So when I finally get a actual product in hand, I promise I will be posting pictures. It will be a happy, happy day. And it's just the fine details that are getting worked out on that. So but once all that is done, then we will start getting door hangers laser cut and laser etched. Now what that means is they will be very precise in their size, and the etchings will be, you can paint over them and still see them. It will be, the etched part will be much neater than my tracing and drawing with a Sharpie marker. So I'm excited about that. Okay, so what I'm working on right now is the mason jar part. And the mason jar actually says welcome. Now, I know you're probably thinking, no, it doesn't. This one doesn't say welcome yet, okay? But when it's all said and done, it will have the word welcome right across this section right here. And so I don't know if I'll get to put that on. We'll have to see how well all this dries, if I can trace it on before we wrap up today, or if I will trace it and then show y'all the finished. If you were watching last week and you saw me do the cute little baby cow, I told you I would post pictures of the final bit with the little attachment for the information for a nursery sign. Well, that got delayed thanks to the weather, so. But it is coming. I got stuff cut out today, actually, and so I will be working on finishing up the nursery signs with the baby cow. And I did the hydrangea, and I cut out a few more things that I needed. Okay, so we're going to leave that for a few minutes and see what it looks like afterwards. After it has a few seconds to dry here. Real quick while I'm waiting on that, you know, Mother's Day is coming up. May is full of all kinds of days. There's Mother's Day, there's Teacher Appreciation Day, there's graduations going on. And so our Door Dazzle box is still available. This one has a longer open window because it is a quarterly box. And so you'll see it hang around for roughly a month, so about 4 weeks. And then you'll see me close the window of opportunity for that one while I prepare for the next one. So that one is still available. Also, the paint party box, which is going to be revealed this week, but I'm going to go ahead, since you're watching, and I'm going to show you what the completed door hanger for this month's paint party box will look like. Ain't he cute? A little patriotic owl there. So that is our April paint party box. Now, the door hanger, the Door Dazzle box is a complete package. So when you get it, like you see there in the bottom corner, the door hanger and the doormat are complete and ready to hang on the door. The paint party box, on the other hand, this one is not finished. This one is for you to do. So the paint party box is just that. It's a paint party in a box. So if you've not seen or heard about the paint party boxes, then that's a little intro to that. The paint party box is a paint party in a box. So it comes with a blank, and then you will paint that, and then you can display it on your door. All right, I'm going to shift this around just a little bit, and what I'm going to do This looks pretty good. I think I'm going to leave it, well, you know, I say that and then I notice there's a spot right there. Actually, you know, those spots really won't matter because I just remembered what I'm going to do real quick on this bottom and let it be drying is streak it with a little bit of white. Now, I'm not going to just dunk my brush into that white. I'm going to get just a little bitty bit on the ends, and I'm going to dab just a little bit of it off on the side. And it still has the blue on there. Okay, so I haven't washed it, but I'm just going to run down and streak it, just like you would see if you were looking through glass. So again, I'm just going to dab just a little bitty bit. And then dab any extra off on the side. And so it's kind of like a dry brush technique. And again, I will have the word welcome across here. So got just a little bit. Here's a way you can fix that. You can take it and put a little water with it to thin it out, or you can dip a little bit of blue and go back over it. So I'm just streaking it with white a little. Not a lot, but just a little. And if after it dries, if you think, it's just too white, then simply dip back in your blue and go over it just a little bit, like this part here. Looking at it, if I'm like, yeah, I don't know, I think that's too much white, then I'm just dipping back in my blue and just going back over it a little, just to soften it up. So just dab it a little bit and get a little off on the side, so that way you're not putting a glob on there, and you can get back over it and soften it up a little. But it just gives it the streak look that you would see if you were looking through glass. All right, so now I'm going to turn it just a little bit, and we're going to start on the hydrangeas. I am actually going to use, it's called dragon fruit. It's a pink. I did some hydrangeas this week, and I posted them on my personal page. I haven't posted them on the Quilted Treasures page yet, but I did post them on my personal page, and they were purple. I did them purple. I did not really wanted to do them blue, but I could not find the blue in my stash that reminded me of the hydrangeas that were in my grandmother's yard when I was growing up. She had the bluest, prettiest hydrangeas. All right, so what I've done is I've gotten a little of the pink, and I put a little bit of buttermilk in there. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with the buttermilk in just a minute. But first, I'm going to dip in my pink. And I'm just going to start making, not really sure. They're kind of comma shapes, but they're not really. And I'm just making 4 leaves. So sometimes I'll bring them around so that they kind of look more like petals. So that's how I'm going to start. I'm just going to start with some shapes, or with some just the 4 petals. And you can overlap. I'm just doing 4 petals at a time, and they can be different sizes. So this one might be a little smaller than the others. The next one might be a little bigger. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and dip just a little bit in the buttermilk. And what I'm going to do, while this is wet, while the pink is still wet, I'm going to blend it in just a little bit on these, just a couple of them, not all of them, but a couple of them. I'm going to give them just a little bit lighter look. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to the pink. I'm not going to rinse the brush or change brushes. I'm just going to keep using the same brush. Now, another thing you can do, dip in the pink, but then turn around and dip just a little bit in the buttermilk. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just come in and do just the 4 petals. And this time I am going to do a little swoosh when I do. And what I mean by swoosh is just I'm going to take my hand and just kind of do like that. So I'm going to swoosh just a little bit and give that one just a little bit of variation. You could also turn it the other way where it's coming from the other side. And if you don't want them to be really bold when you make that change or when you do that variation, then you can always go back over it just a little bit and blend it in a little more. You can also, and I did this with the purple ones, you can also have multiple colors. Like I had, I've got some white here. I may do one with a little bit of white just to give a little bit of a different look. You can see that. And then come back in with the darker. You can also dip right on the end with the white or with the buttermilk. And what that does is when you pull, then it puts the lighter color on the outer part of the petals. Or you could go from inside out and put the lighter part on the inside of the petal. Which I like to go back and kind of dot a little bit in the center of them once I've finished. And then what that does is it creates that little center that you see. Also finishes out the hydrangea a little better in my opinion. And I'll just keep working with these. Like this one, I might say, well, that petal's not big enough, and so I'll make it a little bigger. Or I might say, you know what, this one really needs a little more of the cream or the buttermilk color. Now see, that one I did, and it was mostly the lighter buttermilk color, and so the leaf actually came out lighter than the others. I have to click over periodically and make sure that everything is running smooth on Facebook. If I don't, something will glitch and I won't know about it. So periodically I will glance over and check to make sure everything is okay over there. On the purple one that I did, I actually used purple and this pink, and I also used a dark, or not really a dark, but a deeper blue. And what that ended up doing was creating a lot of variation in that one, and it was different. Now, some of this you're going to say, well, how in the world can you keep the petals straight when they all look like they're just running together? It does look like it's running together, but when you get to the end and you start to do some of your detail work, drawing lines and whatnot, then you discover where all the little flowers separate. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm just going to do some that are the solid color. And then I may hit a few again with the mixing in the lighter colors between the buttermilk and maybe some of the white. And just giving the variation to the petals. Maybe as we get here closer to the edge, give it more of a white look, and then we can always come back and add some more of the darker. Now I'm thinking very seriously about doing this second one up here with some purple mixed in. That will help to define a little bit more between the two different flower clusters here. All right, so there we go. There's our first one. And like I said, as we work on this, you'll see more and more come to life. I'm going to rinse my brush a little bit. I'm going to put just a little bit of purple in here. Not a lot, because I don't want it to be overpowering. I just want to throw in a little bit of purple into this next one. And the third one, I may do more of a white or buttermilk with maybe some light colors tossed in. All right, so we've talked about Mother's Day, of course, coming up, and the Door Dazzle box is still available. Also, the Pink Party box, I will have an official reveal, but I did want to show you that one little clip of the cute little patriotic owl. So we will be doing that with the April Paint Party box. All right, so I'm going to start in the middle with this one, and I'm going to give this one just a little bit of light color, as if the sun is shining on this particular one. And I'm going to throw in just a little bit of purple right here in the center. And if you notice, it's got pink mixed in with it. I'm not rinsing my brush as I go through this. I'm just kind of mixing them together so that way they blend. So if you notice that one, kind of a purpley pink. That one I could actually take just a little bit of white and lighten him up just a little bit. So I'm going to try to get back to my pink here, because I do want it to be mostly pink. And I'm just making four little petals. That's all I'm doing, just four little petals. I am using a filbert tip brush with this. So the filbert tip brush, the end of it is very nice for doing anything that's curved. That one's got just a splash of purple to it. That one's more white. It was funny when I was working on the purple one, the more I did it, the more I was like, oh my gosh, it's just one gigantic blob of purple. How in the world am I going to distinguish this from one petal to the next? But as I kept working on it, I actually got it to blend pretty well. Or when I started doing the details, they actually started coming out pretty well. So I was very pleased with the end result. It's funny how you can start something and you know what you want in your head and you get it going, and then you look at it later and you're like, oh, I don't know, did that turn out really the way I was wanting it to? And then sometimes you'll do something and you're like, wow, that looks even better than what I envisioned in my head. So I'm just doing the four petals, just going around and periodically throwing in a little purple, just a little splash of purple here and there, a little bit of white, a little bit of buttermilk, and some of them I am overlapping. Because if you think about hydrangea clusters, well, that's hard to say. They're all bunched up there together, and so you don't always see them, individually. They're very close together and overlapping. So you can go back and you can even fill in some of these places. I'm going to probably leave the white on this one. Now, the one that I did in all purple, I actually went in and made sure, while I was doing it, I actually covered the whole thing, the whole thing up. And so I really didn't mean to, but that's the way it ended up coming out. But that's okay, because it turned out to be really close to what I remember the hydrangeas looking like at my grandmother's house. It just wasn't blue. Hers were all blue, and oh my goodness, they were so pretty. We called my grandmother on my dad's side Nanny, and so they were Nanny's big blue flowers. All right, I'm going to try to get one more dark one right in there. All right, now this one ended up with a good bit of white, so I'm just going to kind of go back and streak just a little bit of pink in there. All right, now for this last one, I'll rinse my brush pretty good, because this one, I think I'm going to try to do a little more buttermilk with it. But it's going to have the pink mixed in. I don't know that I'm going to do purple in this one. We'll see how this goes once I start. But I do know that I want the pink mixed in. So that's what I'm going for. The lighter color with pink mixed into it. And I could dip just a little bit of purple. Yeah, I told y'all I wasn't doing purple. I told y'all it would probably end up, you know. And it can always vary. Add a little more pink, and come back and have more of the white or the buttermilk, and then have some more pink with it. It almost reminds me of strawberries and cream with that look to it. And as I'm going here in the center, what I'm doing is I still have some pink in my brush, but I am mostly dipping in the lighter color. And so what I'm getting is mostly that buttermilk color rather than getting a lot of pink. Now I did dip a little bit more in pink there. And so I'm just going to bring some of the pink back out. I like the way the pink kind of just splashes through when looking at the buttermilk color. And then you can always go back. So looking at this, I can see a good bit of white poking through, which, like I said, we've still got all of our little details to do. So it may very well come shine through, but sorry, y'all, I couldn't help it. I'm like just a touch of purple here, or a little bit of purple there. I told y'all I probably would not stick to the plan of it just being just a more that one only, let's see, no, we're going to make a fourth one right there. I started to say, that one's only got 3 leaves showing through, but nope, we're gonna make that one a fourth one. If you see too much white in between, you can always go back and add just a little flip. And what I mean by flip is just tap with your wrist, and it'll fill in. Because, you know, there's odd leaves because they get up underneath each other. So, you know, if you look and think, yeah, that's too much, it doesn't need to be that much white, then just kind of dab in between there. But keep in mind, we do still have to do some of our, we have to, good grief, we have to do our outlines, and so that'll take up some, and we can do our leaves. You can always poke a little green in there and have a leaf that, you know, shines through. So, all right, All right, I'm gonna stop playing with it for right now, because if I keep going, I'll have more and more purple in that one. I just know I will. All right, so now we're gonna get to the leaves, and we're using foliage green on this one. So I'm gonna check Facebook real quick. I have flipped back and forth between the program that I use for my multi-camera view and then the view that I actually have that shows me what I'm doing. Now, if for some reason your comments do not come through, don't worry. When I get through with the Facebook Live, then I will answer comments. All right, so I'm just going in with foliage green, and I'm just going to get the leaves going here. This is a bright green. I like this green. I did the leaves a little bit darker on the purple one that I did. Oh, I just covered up some flower leaves. Doggone it. Flower petals. I did not want to do that. But I did right there. Just ran right over the top of them. All right, so I'm just going to go back over real quick because this dried pretty fast. So I'm just going to get a second coat on this green. Let's make sure this one over here, yeah, it looks pretty dry. So we're going to get a second coat on it real quick. And I'm just going to bring the green part of it right up into the petals. So that way you can tell the leaf goes back up into the cluster. Okay, now I'm going to get this one more time. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take just the same brush I've got right here, and I'm going to go ahead and put some stems down in my jar. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to dip in that green, and I'm going to do my brush just straight up and down. Not this way, like I'm making strokes, but this way, so that I can make more of a line. So I'm just going to bring this down, and I'm not using a harsh stroke or a lot of pressure. I'm just lightly coming because I want to keep the stems kind of thin. All right, now you may look at that and say, but wait a minute, there's only 3 clusters, but there's 4 stems. Well, there's one on the back side you can't see. There's one on the back side, you just can't see. So, all right, now, if that was too bright, if I get to where I want to put my welcome on there and it's too bright, what I can do is kind of go over it a little bit with the white, and it'll soften it up just a little bit. You can do that while the paint is still wet as well. So I'm going to wait, and I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to wait just a little bit. I am, while I am here, though, going to get just a little more water on my brush and just a little bit more of the white. Oh, nope. Still have green in that brush. Don't want to use that one. Actually, I probably need to go back to, now that I think about it, go back to my big red one. And what I want to do is get me another drop of white over here on the side so that I don't end up with pink. On my mason jar. And so some of my streaks, one thing you'll notice that sometimes when they dry, they blend in. And so you're like, well, I know there was a streak there when I started, but then all of a sudden it's gone. So sometimes you have to go back and just kind of add in. You could also thin these out with a baby wipe. If you got to looking at it and you're like, well, I don't know, it needs to be a little more faded. You can take a baby wipe and wipe over it and get up some of the white. Now, okay, in the camera it looks more like it's showing. From where I'm sitting, the way the light reflects off of it, it looks more like just water. Alright, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a couple of paint pens on this. There you are. I'm going to use the white and the black. And what I'm going to do, while I've got the white, while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to get the let's see. I don't want to use the same brush that I was using a few minutes ago for the petals, because it's a filbert tip. But what I do want to do, I'm going to dip just the corner of a flat tip brush in white, and I'm just going to start putting some dots here in the center of my little petals. And you're probably thinking, yeah, but they're white and the background's white. Yes. And this will help to start distinguishing your flowers. Now, if you want to add some cream to some of them so that they are a little bit different, the reason why I didn't want to add cream to all of them is because some of these have cream. And so the cream's not going to show up on the cream. So I'm not rinsing the brush. I'm just going back and forth between the cream and the white. And I'm just putting centers in the little clusters of flowers. Now the ones that I did white on, of course I'm going back and I'm hitting with the cream color. And the ones that I had cream on, I'm making sure that I hit with the white color so that they stand out. And then some of them are getting kind of a mix between the white and the cream. All right, so I'm going to turn around this way and I'm just going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to put white on some of these darker ones. And I'm just doing the corner, just the tip edge. And like I said, some of these are only 3 petals. Some of them may only have 2, but they overlap. And some of them you may not see the center at all, simply because it's being overlapped by another petal or another cluster of petals, little flowers. And I'm looking to see if I've missed any. There's one there that needs a center. There's one there that needs a center. Okay, now down here there's a lot of the buttermilk color. So I'm going to go ahead and do basically all of these white. Now you'll see in a minute how when we add the next layer, which will be the black, how you'll start to see the definition between the petals. All right, so just working my way around and seeing if I missed any. We're just going to say that's a cluster of petals underneath because I overlapped a good bit of them. I may put a center right there. Okay, now I'm going to take the black pen that I have here, paint pen, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start kind of adding a little bit of detail to my little petals here. So I'm going to just start, and I'm not going to do every one, but I want to make sure that I get some definition, especially around the edges between the 2 flowers. Just start adding. And I'm just looking at what I did because there's some that overlap, and so I want to make sure that I get the one that's on top. Now these around the edge, I'm kind of hitting every one, and the reason being is because they're the edge ones, and I want to make sure that we have the definition that we need. Especially there at the leaves. I want to make sure that you get the definition in. Now this part I will look at 2 or 3 different times, and I'll go back and I may add more. Oh, I missed 2 flowers there with my little dots. I'll have to go back and add those in. Shake my paint pen up just a little bit. You can also do this with a round brush and black paint. And again, I'm not trying to get every petal. But I do want to make sure that there's the division there that you need, especially around the edges. And here right around the edge where I've got some white showing through, what I may do, I can either come back with some of the pink and the purple and fill in, or I could come back with green and make it look like the leaves are right behind the flowers. All right, so now I'm going to go to the first one that I did. And just create the edge there. My purple one, I did stack them pretty well on top of each other. And so the purple one that I did, there's a lot of color. This one I didn't want to stack as much, so I've left a good bit of white. Just tracing around the edges of the flowers and just giving them separation from each other. Like I said, I'm not doing all the way around all 4 petals, just going in and adding some here and there. So that way you can, when you look at it, you can see that there's a break. And then, of course, when you step back and you look at it, you can find where there may be some holes, and you think, oh, wow, I need, that one doesn't separate real well. They're kind of similar in color. So this helps to break up those that are very similar in color that they may not stand out very well by themselves. You can also take the black, and I won't use that one. Let me get my other black paint pen. You can also take it and add it into some of the dots, some of the little center pieces. You don't have to do all of them, but you could add that in for a little extra. I'm not going to do all of them, just randomly pick some here and add some black dots to it. And it doesn't have to be right in the middle of the center either. It can be a little off to the side and look like, maybe there's a little darkness to the center of it. All right, now I'm going to go back with the green, and I'm just going to add just a little bit of green in between. So I'm going to get that flat brush one more time. I'm going to turn this just a little sideways. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to hit here in the middle and just carefully almost dab just the corner. Now you could get a smaller brush for this. This is the one that I used, and so I'm just going to dab a little bit and just pick a few spots to add just a little bit of green, like there's a leaf behind it and it's shining through. So maybe one there, and might come down here and add one. Just a little bit of green, just a hint. Maybe right there. And again, if you still feel like there's too much white, you can always go back and touch it with some of the pink or some of the other colors, some of the pink or some of the purple. I'm actually going to go ahead and do this whole little part here green. And the reason being is that's right there close to that separation between this cluster and this cluster. And so that's actually going to help to break that up just a little bit. And I could do the same thing here. I could add a little green right here because this is technically one cluster and another cluster. All right, I only have one little spot of green in this one, so I'm going to add a little bit of green right there. Just a little bitty hint, not anything major. I don't want it to stand out because I want everybody to see the hydrangeas, not the green leaves. All right, now for the green leaf, what I want to do is come back and get just a little bit darker color. And I'm just going to put a dot over here in the lid. And what I'm going to do with that same brush that I was just using, I'm just going to get a little bit of green on the tip, and I'm just going to come down through here lightly and make the vein. That would have been better if I stood it on end. Live and learn. All right, so I'm going to turn him around this way. I'm not going to pound, just like, pound on it, but I'm just going to lightly do it. And I probably needed just a little bit lighter brush, or a little bit thinner brush for this. I could come back with a very small round brush and actually straighten this up later. And I may do that. All right, one more leaf. All right, and there's the veins. Now, I am going to take this black paint pen that I have, and I'm going to go around my leaves. So there's that one, and then I'm going to pull over here, and what I'm going to do is just go right on the inside of this one and just create that outline. And you could come back with the black and actually go over the vein lines. And I may do that. I may do that later, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm still looking because like right here, I need a little definition there for that flower, and maybe a little definition there. And so I'll look at this 2 or 3 times. I did this with the other one, where I went back and I found places that I was like, huh, it really is clumped together there. It needs a little bit of clarity on what's going on here. And so I'll just add in a few lines here and there just to break it up a little bit. And just so anybody looking at it goes, oh yeah. And I still may come back and actually touch up some pink in some of those areas so that it's not all white. Right now I'm just going to add some lines. It's just going to show where the edges are. Just those little highlight lines that you add to door hanger or painting, whatever you're working on. And then down here at the bottom, what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to make kind of a circle, kind of a spiral. And this is just going to be the bottom of the jar. I'm going to add a little extra line there, maybe just a little line there. Now I can come back with the black, and I can also add a few little lines. While I have the white, let me add a few there. Then I'm going to come back with the black. Actually did that one off camera. I just went across the bottom, and now I'm going to come down this side. And I may actually come on the outside of these 2 white lines and put a couple of marks there. All right, so now all that's left is to put the word welcome. And I'm going to let this dry really well because I don't want to put the graphite paper on there and then have it end up with paint all over it. Because then it transfers to the next one that I want to put word on. So I'm going to let this set for a little bit and finish drying, and I will put the word welcome on there, and then what I will do is turn around and post pictures of it. And I'll post pictures of the purple one that I did. To me, the purple one, it looks fuller, and this one has a little more white in it. Like I said, the purple one I overlapped a lot, but I can always go back and touch up just a little bit, especially around the edges. The edges are kind of bothering me right here, where there's a lot of white right there on the edge, where I didn't take my my petals all the way up to the corner, to the edge of the door hanger. So I may fix that real quick, but I hope y'all have a great evening. I will be, like I said, at the craft show at the Shriners Table on Hit Road in Mobile, Alabama for the 24th and 25th craft show. So if you're going to be there hanging out, look me up. I will, and say hi. I will be there. And probably my daughter and my husband will be hanging around somewhere in the crowd. So we look forward to meeting any of you. And, paint parties. I am starting to get a number of paint parties. So right now I do have, I think one, maybe 2 dates in May, but June and July do have open dates. And so you can simply contact me on that. Hope y'all have a great week. Thank you so much for stopping by. hanging out and see what's on the crafting table. And I'll see y'all soon.